This one is going to be a little bit out of chronological order. Today I'm going to be getting the valve cover off of this 1986 2.5 liter. We're working on the bastard truck today. Originally, I was going to swap on a metal valve cover. I was going to make a video about this little upgrade for the 2.5 guys out there. For some context, I got this off of 1999 in a junkyard during Operation Other Side, and it's just been sitting in my closet ever since. Never really got around to putting it on here. But if you didn't know, the Renix era 2.5 liter engines use a plastic valve cover, which, as you may imagine, is not very resilient to really anything. In 1991, they switched it to metal. So what can happen with a plastic valve cover is, if any of these CCV hoses are clogged, which, you know, mine aren't, but if they are, crankcase pressure can build up in the valve cover and they can actually crack and explode. Otherwise, you know, plastic is just kind of shitty. And so a pretty, you know, not very well documented Renix swap upgrade for the 4-cylinder is to put a 91 plus valve cover on there. So right, I was gonna do that, but then some other unforeseen circumstances happened, and well, this truck's gonna end up in a junkyard very soon, so I figured there's no sense in putting, you know, potentially valuable 2.5 parts on it that somebody else might want to use. But I still do want to get the valve cover off just to kind of, you know, delve into the 2.5 a little bit. But if anybody wants the metal valve cover, I have everything you need to do the swap. I got a different gasket, I have all the bolts for it, I have some fittings to adapt to the older style CCV stuff. So the status of this and everything that comes with it will be in the description. So this thing leaks a lot of oil, like a dangerous amount of oil. I have to add a quart to it every 250 miles or so. It also burns a lot of oil, but a lot of it is coming out of the valve cover. So just replacing the valve cover gasket, I mean, this thing was only like 10 bucks. So I'm gonna replace the valve cover gasket and take a look inside the 2.5 because I'm very curious about this engine. There is a rumor I hear out there that, unlike the 4-liter, you can get the lifters out without taking the cylinder head off on these. So on the 4-liter, the holes that the push rods go through are way too small to get the lifters out. Like, I can, you know, this isn't even on an engine right now, and I think we can all pretty definitively agree that there's no way you could get a lifter out of that hole. If anybody wants this, by the way, 100 bucks takes it. It's an 0630 off of 1999. This is a direct bolt-on replacement cylinder head for 96 to 99 4 liters. You could put it on a newer one if you wanted. It is, I think it's got 150,000 miles on it. It's pretty well used. So it looks like all these are 3/8 bolts. And the metal valve cover needs the metal valve cover bolts because it's a lot thicker. These little dinky ones don't fit. They don't work on the metal valve cover. So I have those too for anybody who may want to do this swap. None of these are actually tight at all. Wow. They're all just coming right out with no effort. This thing is actually a second air filter for 86 only. If you follow this vacuum line, it goes into the air box before the air filter. So it's pulling unfiltered air from the CCV system. So it needs its own little filter. In 1987, all they did was move the vacuum line to after the air filter. And then there was just a regular ass fitting here. So that's kind of a unique little thing. This back bolt was a 7/16 stud. And it had all these emission line things on it, which are being difficult to get out of the way. All right. The whole gasket came with the valve cover. Wow. That's pretty interesting stuff. Look at that. How exciting. Dude, it's literally a mini 4-liter. It's exactly the same. The rocker for the exhaust valve on cylinder 1 and 2 are a little bit loose. All the other ones are good though. But yeah, this is pretty cool to actually see this. Look, it's just a mini 4-liter. So I'm gonna take off this set of rocker arms and see if I can't fit a magnet on a stick down in there to get a lifter out with the cylinder head on to bust the myth. Oh boy. Okay, cylinder 1 is on its intake stroke, of course. On today's episode of Myth Busting Mondays, we're gonna find out if you can remove a lifter from a 4-cylinder without removing the cylinder head. I'm just gonna set those right there. Honestly, not bad at all. Just gonna set that right there. Alright, I've got this flashlight on a stick that is also magnetized. I have no idea where this came from, I just found it. But it does fit in there. Let's see if I can get it to stick onto that lifter. No, I think I need a stronger magnet. It's not sticking. Oh, come on. Oh. Come on. Oh, it wants to come. It wants to move. Stop sticking to the sides. Jesus. Come on. I've got it, boys. Oh, that's gonna be so hard to get back in. Come on. Oh, it's all the way out. It just doesn't want to. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Hey. No! Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Myth busted. You absolutely can get the lifters out of the engine with the cylinder head still on a 4-cylinder. You cannot do it on the 6-cylinder. That is cool. Look at this. I'm pretty sure they both use the same lifters. Yeah, dude. Look at how tiny that hole is on here. Yeah, you can't do it on the 6-cylinder. That's cool. Little win for the 2.5 right there. I just spent about 20 minutes getting that back in there. That was extremely difficult. So I do not recommend trying to do that. I probably used the least conventional way to install lifters. Also don't recommend doing that. Alright, I've always wanted to try running it without a valve cover on there to see what would happen. And what better truck to try it on? That didn't sound normal. I had the idle motor unplugged, and apparently if you try to start it with that unplugged, it will arc to anything near it that is a ground. So that's what that noise was. Hopefully those wires don't get caught in there. All right. Well, that's kind of cool. The old gasket literally just peeled right off of here. So it must not be that old. It doesn't look that old either, but it sure was dumping oil out of it. Maybe just because the bolts rattled themselves loose because of how much that thing vibrates. I'm gonna have to get a little chunks of it off here and there, but I think the gasket goes on the valve cover before the engine, and like you put it on the valve cover and then you put that whole thing on the engine instead of the other way around. At least that's what I think. Seems like it. I don't know. This is all very interesting stuff. There's like grooves in it that like notch into the cover. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that'll be nice. I think the manifold cracked in some other place again, because that's really loud. Yeah, I basically lost another exhaust manifold. Oh well, that wasn't bad of a job at all. I mean, that only took me, would have taken me a couple minutes, really. I could have had that done in like 10 minutes probably.